1-2, what is this? You're now tuned into Imperfect Sense right here on UnifiedRadio.tv. I'm one of four hosts, one of four moderators, one of four opinionated brothers that make up this podcast called Imperfect Sense. I go by the name of Eric E. Mr. Dawson, whatever it is you call me, I beg you, please do not call me a midget. And today we don't have Andy today, but shout out to Andy. But to the left of me, you know what I'm saying, I got the bully with me, Conway. You know what I mean? Bully in the streets. The women at home call him a teddy bear, though. To the right of me, I got the brother, Flesh, the fitness guru. He's in the building today. And today, we got a special guest with us. But before I introduce that special guest, man, let me drop this disclaimer. Because if you've never seen us, you never watched anything that we've done, this is our version of the view, our version of the talk. We opinionated brothers.
Facts.
We talk about all aspects of life on this show, man. We have no cut cards, but... we offend people sometimes. So if you're sensitive about your race, religion, gender, sexuality, and or politics, this is not the show for you. We're giving you a chance to go ahead, click us off right now. You will not Me Too movement, none of us.
I ain't gonna do it.
We're going to say what the
we do it, because he almost fucked up on religion again.
Because I got big teeth. Y'all keep trying to tell y'all that. Like, the words keep getting tongue, I got big teeth. And that's what I'm saying. I caught y'all the corner of my eye. As soon as I was getting ready to say it, you gave me that look like, yo, you better not fuck up. I seen it. But check this out, man. Look, we about to have a good time. We about to cut up. And like I said, we got a special guest today. This brother, former NFLer. He got that nasty Cleveland Brown stuff on. That's why I had to wear. That's why I had Raven Nation. I had to represent. You see it. I had to make sure I'll put the bucket on, man, because we got too many teams in here. We got a real Cleveland Browner, we got a Giant, and a Steeler.
Yeah.
Ravens, we here. But we got Mr. Joel Gamble in the building, man. What's going on, brother?
What's going on? Thanks for having me, fellas.
Well, we appreciate you sitting down with us, man, because we got a few questions, man. We're gonna talk about the nonprofit you're doing. Some NFL stuff, some things going on in Baltimore. We gotta get your opinion on these things. So let's jump into the football aspect of it. Let these people know. Give them the basics of where you from, what Pop Warner team you may have played for, what high school team you may have played for, to get to the NFL. So let's start from the beginning, the whole Wikipedia shit.
So I never played recreational football.
Okay.
The first time I ever stepped on a officiated football field was in high school, and I went to Carver High School in the inner city in West Baltimore.
Okay.
So I'm born and raised from West Baltimore. Went to Shippensburg University, which is a Division II school in Pennsylvania. And then was blessed with the opportunity to play for 3 teams, which were the Philadelphia Eagles in 2009, the Cleveland Browns, and the Tennessee Titans. That's where I ended my career. Yeah.
So you said Shippensburg University, right?
Yep.
So everybody, these up and coming athletes that thinking that, they can't get a shot at a pro career coming out of HBCU, coming out of smaller schools. You're living proof to say, like, nah, you can make it, because skill is skill.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I know some players that openly say, like, it's been some draft picks, some early draft picks that went into camp and stunk it up. And there's been some people that didn't get drafted that kind of blew them out of the water. You know what I mean? But the politics of the situation still kept them on the team and kept the other ones off.
Right. So that's what, and I'm glad you brought that up. So that's the biggest, difference from coming from a big time Division I school is basically the politics. You might get upfront money, which is your signing bonus, which could be a couple of $1 million, a couple $100,000. And when you come from a smaller school, your signing bonus may be smaller. So then the team is, more willing to move you around, as opposed to that big time school where they give them a couple $1 million and they're not going to just get rid of that $1 million investment because, of course, the NFL is a business. And so, when they invest into a player, they want to try to get their return from that player. So a lot of times you'll see, certain players get chance after chance who can come from a big time school. And so that's that's pretty much the only difference. A small time school, it is harder to get looked at. But if, like you said, if you have talent and you're working hard and, you're giving 100% effort, they will find you.
I agree. So everybody that's listening, looking like, because we all football lovers in this room, and we sit back like, nah, the fuck that bum still in the game. It's a reason why he's still in the game. Like,
because they put too much money on his bum ass.
They put too much money. Like, man, that guy that came in last week, he was kicking ass. Like, I see, for me, I like players I see that do come from smaller schools. Those are the ones that I really like the best. It's like the underdog. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you can kind of see their work ethic on the field because they really trying to prove themselves. And a lot of these players, no matter the NFL or the NBA, whatever, you deal with a lot of prima donnas. Like, you ever had any player that you was just like, man, how the fuck you get drafted so high?
I can't say that on the NFL level because pretty much when you get there, I mean, when you get to the NFL, I mean, pretty much everybody there from Kyle. Even when you mentioned Kyle Bowler, I mean, he wasn't a scrub because when he was the top of, each person when they get to the NFL, they're the top of, their college, their area, or wherever they come from, and so, they're definitely not scrubs. But I would say, some players, I'm just like, man, they're getting so many opportunities. Sometimes, I wish that other players get those same opportunities to shine in the place of those folks that get the opportunity.
I mean, but does it really make them the top player? Because you really rated the top player based on what NBC and ESPN is giving the school to put you on TV to make because it's players that you don't see every day that don't have big sponsorships like these big TV networks where we can see them, and they're really better than some of the people that's on TV. Absolutely. So I don't know if they're really...
They might not be the best,
right?
But they are. We can't. I would never say anybody that makes it in professional sports is a scrub or a bum or anything like that. But they're definitely hands down are better players that possibly don't have that starting job or don't have that spot in the NFL because of politics or whatever it is concerned. Yep.
So coming out of West Baltimore, Carver is in the trenches. Like that school probably sitting in the heroin capital of the world.
Right.
I got a lot of friends that went to Carver back in the day, around the same time that you were there. So my thing is, how did you make it out, especially out of this city of Baltimore?
Man, by the grace of God, man, I've seen so much. When you talk about trauma and and seeing gun violence and things of that nature, I've seen people shot. I've seen people getting shot at. Over the course of my life, probably more times than I could count on my hands, and so. I would say that I had an angel, or around me or beside me or somewhere because, I've seen a whole heck of a lot and, I'm just blessed, man. I was blessed with the opportunity and the gifts to have, athletic talents to, take my skills to Shippensburg University. But it's a lot that I've seen that, that happened. I definitely appreciate my parents. For instilling morals and values and, me kind of staying away from the negative things going on in my neighborhood as much as I could. But, there's a lot of people that did the same thing I did that, the turnout was different. So,
one of them in this room.
Yeah. He in this room.
Tell them about your journey from New York to Baltimore to South Carolina.
That's cool.
And the shit that you did up and down the Mason-Dixon line to fuck people's life up.
We can't talk about that.
And try and play football.
Yeah, we can't talk about that.
You know what I mean? And
you played for North Carolina State, right?
No, South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah.
Lee Hope.
Yeah.
See?
Wow.
After he fuck people's lives up, he leave the town and want to go to school. Come on, yo. That's why you sitting here next to me and not in the NFL. That's the fuck you get. That's called karma. That's exactly what you get.
He had another where You know,
putting your skills. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad at that
He
at all.
alive and with us today.
Yeah.
Man.
So my thing is, when you actually went to the NFL, did you have those family members like, yo, we rich, we made it? Did you have them like, where my tickets at? Because I would definitely be one of them family members. I would definitely be one of them family members.
It was definitely family and friends. That were definitely different. You would hear some different responses. I remember I had one dude ask me, he was talking about if I could pay for his abortion or something.
What?
Yeah, man, there was some crazy requests and outlandish things that I would hear. So I mean, it's different, man. It's different when when you get that opportunity.
What didn't he say? Pay for something.
Man. He didn't say, hey, I need some financial help here, and he said, pay for this specific.
It's abortion. I don't want it.
That was man. That was the most weirdest one you had.
That was the weirdest. That was the weirdest request.
I don't think
I was just like, huh?
That.
Like, what? What are you talking about? But there are definitely requests. People are definitely expecting things from you. But the sad thing is, a lot of times along the journey it takes for you to get there. Those same people aren't there.
Right.
And so, my journey was very, it was a lonely journey. It was many nights that I was crying. It was many nights that I was up, just thinking about, hey, just putting in that work, continuing to put in that work. And I was by myself during that journey. And so, when I got there, it was no we. It was no we. I love my family, I love my friends and all of that, but I put in that work to get where I was, and so I was blessed to be able to do that.
But that kind of helped out in the end for you though, because you really can look back and say, no one helped me, so you didn't feel entitled to give back. A lot of stuff. You wanted to. It wasn't certain people that you could say, all right, this person helped me. Let me make sure they good. Was there anybody like that for you?
There was a few people. So my trainer, Troy Jones, he's probably one of the top trainers ever. He's now in Florida and working out of House of Athletes and working in Brandon. What's his name? The receiver, Brandon. I forget the receiver's name, but. He works out of his gym now and is the manager of that gym, and so he was a incredible trainer of mine, who kind of honed my skills as far as being an athlete, got me to lose weight, got my speed up. So I was running a 4.85, and he got me down to about a 4.65, and he just was like a family member, for me, and he would open up the gym. I didn't pay him at the time, and he just was like a big brother.
So he pretty much believed in you.
He was a person that believed in me. I know my cousin, Neil Janey, who's a lawyer. He always believed in me. One of the only people that was there during that time where, it was rough, and I was trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to, go the route of using my education to get a job or to pursue my dreams of being in NFL. And he was one of the ones that was like, look, you young now, you're not going, you don't want to regret this, and so continue to push to pursue your dreams. So those two people are definitely someone, some people that I look at that during that time when it was tough, those are the people that were there.
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times when you see these athletes and they get these big contracts, the first thing they want to do is go buy a bunch of dumb shit, right? And feel like they owe people. Like, and I don't want to be insensitive. They want to go buy grandparents and parents all these things and reward them for the things that they were supposed to do anyway. They were supposed to fucking raise you. Like, they brought you into this world like, you're my dad. I came out of your balls. Like, you're supposed to take care of me. You know what I mean? Why am I repaying you for something that you're supposed to do? Like, it's nothing wrong with treating somebody, but I don't like when you hear stories of people feeling like like they're entitled to go do those things. Like, whatever my son does to become a success, as long as he treat me first before his mother, I don't care, because I did everything. But he's not entitled to give me anything. You know what I mean?
I know before you go, a question like you didn't. So there wasn't any family member, like blood wise, that supported you, because normally with most athletes, we always see the mom.
Right.
Very rarely you see. Lately, in sports, we started.
You come from a two-parent household, right?
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
So my
Mama, I
parents.
didn't mean to cut you off.
No, and my parents split when I was 10.
Okay.
So, but they still, even though they
But
split
Dad was
when
present?
Dad
That's
was
good.
present.
That's
He
good.
was always
It
there for
matters.
sporting events. It does matter. So they had always instilled those values in me. But like I said, not everybody is gonna understand your dream.
Yeah.
And so, even mom and dad and, other family members, they don't necessarily understand that, you want to make it to here, and just, your financial situation may be different now, but it, it could be a lot better later on in life. And so a lot of people, wanted me to go ahead, since I had my degree in college, why don't you go ahead and get the job? The percentages of making it to the NFL are 1.5,
Trying to put their fears off on you, man.
And so, I definitely wasn't feeling that. So, like I said, Troy Jones, who was like a family member, and then Neil Janey, who's actually my blood cousin, he was one of the people that were like, hey, no, forget, college will always be there. You have your degree, that's fine. But the NFL is not always going to be there. And so you need to take the time now to go ahead and pursue that. And then later on down the line, you could get a job, you could start your career, but you don't want to regret, not going forward with your dream.
I mean, just
definitely.
really just being able to pursue your dream and actually be on the field, get in the locker room, you already won. Because there's a lot of people that they didn't get that far. You know what I mean? Like I see things where, you watch, what's that? The HBO joint. Hard Knocks?
Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
Y'all watch that?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen it in a while, but that documentary series, you see that these players that come in with all their dreams and then they get waived. And it's just like, you can see the life
It's a number
leave
on
up out
HBO
of
too.
them. You know what I'm saying? To actually make it on a roster, practice squad, whatever it is, like, you fulfilled the dream that a lot of people didn't do. Fuck the money. You can get money anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's just the point that I know brothers now that wish they could have put on any team in the NFL helmet.
Right.
Just to go do their thing one time.
That's some
and
real
live
shit.
it. Like so, you know what I mean? A lot of people can't do that. Like
I didn't really want to play.
And a lot of people,
I just
a
want
lot
to
of
sit
people,
on the sideline with my helmet, just to say I did it. Cause.
I wouldn't mind. Yo, go Tank, go! Yeah.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a lot of people don't
Let's
want to
go
go
party.
through that lonely journey that I talk
Yeah.
about. A lot of people expect to that kind of big time school, that journey where I get drafted and I'm automatically in there. I didn't get drafted. It took me 5 years out of college to actually get into the NFL. So I graduated college in 2004, and I didn't get my first shot, or I wasn't signed on the Eagles until 2009. So I was
Stuck with it.
grinding for 5 years just to even get there. So that mentality is different.
Yeah.
Along that way, I saw a lot of guys that were training with me that had kids, that had to get a job, that had to shucks, it's a lot of stuff that plays a part and goes on over the course of those years. So a lot of people don't want to take that journey. And so they say they want to, but when you see how much grind it takes to get there, some people don't want to do it.
I just feel like the NFL is an elite club, so it's not no walk in the door. But for you to actually get your degree and still want to pursue your dream, right? What would you say to those ones who went to those lower schools that feel as though they don't need the degree, they're gonna just go for that dream?
I mean, you definitely need your degree, because even if you played 17 years in the NFL, what's after the NFL? So there's always going to be life at the NFL, because even when you play 17 years, if you get into the NFL at 24 and you play for 17, what's that put you at 30 something, 40s? So then what? You know,
Right.
so you're still gonna have, even if you have a long time Hall of Fame career, you still see athletes retiring. They don't know what's going on. They go back to school then, so you still need some type of fallback as far or plan, to continue on with life.
Now being that I know Shippenberg was a D2, and I think they still are D2.
Yeah, yep.
So were you a scholarship or like did you have a scholarship to go there for this? Partial. Okay,
Yeah, so I
know
had
what
a
that
partial
is.
scholarship. it was tough, man.
It was academically and
it
if
was.
you fucked up somewhere, you was dead.
Yeah, so it was.
Just
It was
know.
a partial scholarship. And I didn't even get that until I actually stepped on the field and I started performing, and they saw that, okay, he balling out. So, so yeah, man, it's tough, getting into school, and I was everything at Carver, so, it's definitely tough. I don't sugarcoat things for, when I talk to kids. I let them know that, hey, man, if you're trying to get there and this is your dream, of course you can do it. But it takes 110% effort, and this is just a different mentality that you gotta have. You gotta be super hungry. Like how I mentioned how I was crying at night, and that's all I thought about was making it to the league, and I was hungry. Like there was nobody that was going to outwork me.
Yeah. When it comes to athletes coming out of Baltimore, the one thing I like when I see athletes is take their skills levels out of the city. Because sometimes, I love it here, born and raised, but I hate to see when we succumb to the bullshit of the town. And do you think the pressure would have been 10 times worse if you actually were a Raven because you're from here? So now you're dealing with everybody they fans of the Ravens, everybody wanting tickets because you're home and you're training home. You think you might have got caught up into some bullshit if you were here?
I don't think at that time, I don't think that would have been the case because I was older. I was 27, so I was, mentality was a little different. I'd already went through that journey, so, my mentality was, so mature at that time that I was just like, I'm good. But, I would say it might be different for those, folks that come out of high school and stay here for college. Because I know, for instance, my high school was predominantly, all black in West Baltimore. And so it was kind of a culture shock to go to Shippensburg University. But it was a good culture shock because I'm able to navigate through life a little differently than some of, my counterparts that maybe never left West Baltimore.
Was Shippensburg diverse as far as culture?
I wouldn't say that. I would say it was predominantly white school.
Okay.
And then it was, the athletes were there. So you had some black athletes, and you had some black people and some culture diversity, but it's a PWI, predominantly white institution. So
and I figured that, and it brings me to this off the wall question, but it brings us back to a show that we had a while ago, right? About black men dating outside their race. Which none of us in the room, we don't care. Love who you love, right? But a point that we were making, a lot of times these athletes, they go to these big universities, say like the SEC. We know it ain't too many sisters in the SEC going to none of these schools, Alabama and Georgia. They not going there.
They on the outskirts.
They going to the HBCUs of these states, like
or the community colleges.
Right. So when these athletes come out of these inner cities, they get into these predominantly white schools. This is a reason why you see them fall in love with something they're around every day. So what makes me don't understand the backlash of how women that don't like black men, especially when they become successful athletes, how do you got a white woman? It's a reason behind it. Look at the school he went to for the last 3-4 years. He wasn't home in his hometown around Keisha and Tanisha and everybody. He's around Becky and Karen and all that. He's around them for the last 4 years. So that's where the love was coming from. You know what I mean? So did that happen to you?
I mean, I've definitely dated.
You dabbled a little bit?
I've dabbled a little bit.
I had some whipped cream before too. You know what
I've dabbled,
you know what I'm saying? I definitely had a little mayonnaise. You know what I'm saying?
He funny with it.
Yeah.
What you right over there?
You wild. I
had some mayonnaise.
I got
boy.
my black woman now, my black queen, but yeah, definitely, you're around who you're around. I mean, you're definitely going to socialize. You're
Product of your environment.
So, but I would say that the biggest thing for being able to go to a institution where it was a culture shock is me being able to kind of navigate different rooms, and so I can go into a room where it's culturally diverse. I could go into my hood, still. I could go into any room.
I love culture shocks, man. I love it.
And just it's just like traveling. I mean, I would say one of the biggest things for kids, is get them traveling outside of West Baltimore. I know a lot of folks that haven't even left their four corners of West Baltimore.
Right.
And so I feel as though experience is the best teacher, and being able to see culture, and this goes for white folks too, because there's a lot of white folks that haven't been around or haven't had any positive interactions with black people as well. And that's, I think, some of the issues arise with race in America, is because, nobody wants to step outside of their culture box.
And they believe in the stories.
Right. You see the media, I mean, obviously, we see the media, they're always, it's very, very rare nowadays that you see positive black families on TV, positive black stories, positive black anything. Yeah. And so white people watch TV too. So, we see it, if you know that, this isn't black America. If you don't know, then you're gonna hate your own people. If you're black, and then white folks gonna be like, see, that's what they acting like that and this and that. And then you see on TV also where on the other sense of on the flip side of the coin, you see white folks on TV where it's all positive, it's all this, all that.
That was the narrative we saw growing up.
Depending on what channel you watching.
Yeah.
Because when I look at him, I think of a terrorist.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
I mean,
he owns some ups. But for the most, remember how we grew up? We had our phases. You saw mostly white shows. It was, the Jeffersons stuff when we were really little. And then we had that phase with Bill Cosby, Different World, and things like that who had a positive life.
Right.
Because before that, they always, depicted us in the evil light. And Hollywood controlled the narrative for so long. So now that we have social media, now look what it's doing to the world. It's like now you able to have the power to expose a lot of things. And that's why things are getting exposed now. But it's getting exposed for the, for the better, I think.
Yeah, people are able to see what's really going on and then kind of go their route with their opinions and all. So but media for a while is I miss that, having the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, having the Cosby Show, all of those shows, different worlds, show black kids going to college and all of that. Like, where is that now? All we see is that the reality shows where all of the women cursing each other out, the men not in their children's lives and all of that.
It started off with us first. Remember the show, fucked up reality shows started off with us first, and then they started getting a little bit into like the the Housewives of Ocean, New York, North, all that other stuff. But it always start off with us. Anything negative, we always start off with it first. But the problem is we chase the dollar. And we don't look at the importance of how it's going to affect that. Out there.
And the same with hip hop.
I still blame reality TV on New Jersey Shore, guys. That was the first reality TV show I seen.
The first one I seen was The Real World.
The Real World?
The Real World.
White people doing dumb shit.
Survivor, The Real
White
World.
people doing dumb shit.
They was doing dumb shit, but it got heightened when the two black motherfuckers went crazy on that, on The Real World. Like, that's when that shit went crazy. On The Real World. But we talked about culture shock as far as where you went to school. What shocks did you see when you first went into an NFL locker room? You're like, damn, I didn't know it was like this.
Oh man, when I first signed my contract and with the Eagles in 2009, just going into the locker room and seeing them stitching my name on the back of the jersey, going in there and seeing like it looked like a Foot Locker in the back of the locker room and seeing my name on the locker, I mean, it was just surreal, and them asking like, what type of face mask do you want? It was like a Madden, player, choose your player, pick your player type joint, where I'm like, all right, I get the face mask I want, I get the cleats I want. They like molding them, it was just surreal. And then being able to walk into, because after I signed my contract, they took me into the locker room for my fitting and everything. And then right after that, that's when, meetings are taking place. And so in 2009, I don't know if y'all know the Eagles roster, but
McNabb
I walked
was there,
into,
right?
Yeah.
So I walked into the offensive, obviously being a tight end, I walk into the offensive meeting at the time where we watching film. And you got Donovan McNabb. You got Mike Vick. He just, got out of prison.
Yep.
You got Deshaun Jackson. You got LaShawn McCoy. That he's a rookie that year. You got who else? It was another receiver. Jeremy Maclin, his rookie year as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going into the locker room with all of these offensive, I used to play the video game with Mike Vick.
That's
So
what
I'm like, man.
That's what I'm about to ask you. How did you
I'm
feel?
catching passes from him, because he was at the time he was the third string. It was Mike Vick, Kevin Kolb, and Donovan McNabb.
Right.
So I'm catching passes from all three of them, but it was it was just so surreal. But at the same time, I had worked so long to get there. It was just like, oh, I'm here now, so I'm good. And like I'm. The grind don't stop now, and I'm here, and I'm gonna show them what I got.
I've seen
so,
a lot of. Go ahead, Flash.
Because I'll be free. So from getting when you got there, when you first saw them, and you realized you was in a room with them, like what were you thinking?
I was just it felt good, man. It just felt good to be in there with guys that I looked up to, guys that I played the game with, It seemed so far from reality at one point until I started to get closer and closer, and then being there, it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
I had to take it. I kind of took it all in when I was in the locker room, seeing my name and all. And then once I got into, the meetings and all, it was just like, oh, these are, it's guys like I'm talking to you guys now.
Yeah.
And it was just
motherfucker
like, all right,
real.
when we put on our equipment and all, like I gotta go ahead and prove that I belong here.
I seen a couple players before say they knew they belonged after they like took their first hit.
Yep.
Then you just like, all right, I'm over it now.
And
I'm ready to ball.
That's how I was, because when I stepped on the practice field, I lined up in a slot position as a receiver, but being a tight end, and then I ran an in route, and I caught a pass from Donovan McNabb, and I like dove for it. And
Did you get
he
up
was
like, yeah,
all right,
bitch, I'm here.
all right, for it. I heard him, saying, calling out my number, like, I see you out there. And so I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I'd have got up like,
this
motherfucker, I'm here. Fuck y'all talking about, I'm here.
Yeah,
I could have been in the NFL too, but politics kept me out.
Yeah, I understand.
Politics
I'd
kept
have
me out.
thrown
They
for that
bring my
bitch
height
too,
and
yo.
stuff
It's just
too
a
much.
whole difference.
You ain't want to drop your first pass?
Oh, hell
I might have kept the ball.
Right, and they made him sign that bitch.
I might have kept the ball. So we're gonna get into your organization in a minute, but I want to ask you a couple more NFL questions. Like they going through a lot of stuff with this COVID protocol, right? If you were still playing, would you have opted out or would you played?
My thing with that, and this is just a personal belief. I definitely.
Come on with it. I want to see if you're thinking like me.
I definitely would have played.
Damn right.
I realized that COVID is real. I think I probably had it myself, but I just feel as though everybody possibly may get it or have to deal with it in some way.
God, you sound like me.
And it's unfortunate because, some people, especially for our culture, when we have so many underlying conditions and we have so many, health issues. Mainly because of
Unhealthy
nutrition.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Nutrition,
Right,
that's all
right.
it is.
And so it's so unfortunate that and I'm hoping that this, opens a lot of people's eyes to, start to get healthy, because, especially being as though diabetes, high blood pressure, and all of these things are affecting, with the COVID situation. And so, like I said, it's unfortunate. It's going to affect healthy people and unhealthy people. And so I'm hoping that things, change to where as though Americans, just start to live more healthier lifestyles.
Yeah, for me, like I'm aware of COVID. I know it's
fried
real.
chicken,
Yeah. And I'm aware of it,
Can't
right?
do
You
that.
know what I'm
Can't
saying?
do it.
I'm not scared of it. Like, I'm gonna just keep living. And my mindset is, if I could breathe the same air with a couple ass eaters in the room that I'm around all the time, I feel as though that I
you're the
can
main
survive
ass eater, bro.
anything. Huh?
You're the main ass
No,
eater, bro.
no, I don't indulge, man. Don't indulge. I don't indulge in ass
I
eating.
forgot, you don't ass eat, you just ass dive.
Whatever. But
Head first.
you got a nonprofit you're doing, right? So let's get into that. Tell the people about your nonprofit that you're doing.
So yeah, the Joel Gamble Foundation, we founded it in 2013. It's a nonprofit organization in which we try to provide resources and opportunities for youth. And that's a wide variety of things that we do for kids. So it started off where we started off with a football camp, free football camp. And it's expanded so much because there's such a need for resources for kids in the community. And so now we provide mentorship, we provide free flag football leagues,
What
free
ages?
camps, and this is for all ages.
Okay.
All ages from about 6 to 18 for the camp, and for the flag league about 6 to 14 for the flag football league. Free, we provide college tours, health and wellness programs, wide variety of literacy programs, wide variety of things, whatever we can bring as far as resources to the youth to give them an opportunity to be successful, and knowing, obviously that's where I'm from, Baltimore, and I know that we lack the resources and opportunities and for kids to be successful. And so I want to just give as much as I can to kids, to give those kids opportunities for success.
Well, one thing I noticed, right, and because I've been paying attention to you. I know you got a lot of things going on. One thing that was like some of the best times in my life was dealing with youth football. Like a good friend of mine, shout out to Coach Twan at the Eastside Raiders. That's where my son started off at, and I started coaching over there. One thing I noticed is that when you got your hands on them kids at an early age and they playing sports, you kind of got them, right? But one thing I definitely noticed is when they got out of the Pop Warner stage and actually went to high school, you start seeing less of the parents because the parents were there every Saturday. Parents stopped showing up for their kids' games, which is, I understand because people got to work, so I don't want to be insensitive about that. But then it's like seeing a phase where you lose kids after a certain age coming out of Pop Warner. Like it's a lot of kids that we coach. Some are not here anymore. Some are locked up, and you got to deal with that because you grow a love for them. You watch them grow up, but then you can't hold all of them at the same time. And what I notice is dealing with that stuff in Pop Warner is as they get older, the parents start moving away a little bit more. And I think that's a big problem on where we lose the youth. Because when they 7, 8 years old and they running for touchdowns, the whole family's out there, they get 14, 15, you think they grown and can make their own decisions, and you go on about your life and you just trusting them to do what they supposed to do, and then they don't. And then you lose them. You know what I mean? My thing is, with your foundation, how can you keep the parents around? You know what I mean? And not just drop the kids off to you and say, hey, go to Joel's football camp. And,
Right.
You know what I mean?
We
How
definitely encourage parent involvement. So we even have parents volunteering at the camps. So we actually encourage parents to stay as opposed to just dropping kids off because I definitely agree with you. I
they
know
think
in
it's a
high
babysitter
school,
sometimes. They think they got an extra babysitter sometimes.
Right, and I don't encourage that. And you go in other communities and other cultures, They're out there from Pop Warner High School,
College.
all the way throughout, rooting their kids on. And so, we talked about my dad, not being in the household, but he was always in the stands, when it came to my game, and
That's
that
what I did for my son.
that was huge. That was huge. Even though I didn't have him in the household, and you talked about being a coach in Pop Warner, it's a necessity to have a positive male role model in these kids' lives, and that's that goes for females and males, because they need to see positive interactions within our families. We talk about the Cosby Show growing up. That was a positive interaction that we were able to see on TV. And so, the coaches from Pop Warner, they're more hands-on. They get the kids more. In high school, it's probably a little less hands-on. They kind of doing their thing in class and all of that. But, that's what you need. You need more male role models to step up. You need more fathers to stay in their kids' lives. You need, the women to understand that they need these fathers in their lives, and so, give the fathers an opportunity to be a father. That's one of the biggest things or issues in our community is the lack of positive men that's, got their hands on these kids.
Yeah, because even the coaching of youth football was a lot of definitely a lot of single mothers there, a lot. And
it's about 75. In West Baltimore, it's about 75 to 78% single parent households, and that's Baltimore. That's a Baltimore health statistic.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed is a lot of those single mothers. Some of it was, I seen a lot of cases. A lot of it was because of them. Like I seen fathers show up and they ask them like, "What the fuck you doing here? I'm here to see my son or daughter do whatever," and they didn't want that. And I also seen situations where I used to look at families come watch the children play, and I hate to put the energy on them, but I'll be looking at the family like that kid in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because of the way that the family's interacting, the shit that the family's doing. Like, you're going to be a product of your environment. And in a lot of those cases, come back years later and you see the kid 16, 17 years old. Everything I thought was going to happen, it happened. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand, like, when a children a child is so young, like, they're so much impressionable. So if you instill the right things in them and keep the right attitude around them, you can make a decent human being. You know what I mean? And a lot of them don't understand that shit.
And like I said, my parents, they split at 10, and everything they installed in me up until 10 years old when they were together, I mean, that stuck with me, and it made me who I am. Obviously, I had some growing pains and stuff like that when they split, because in middle school I had some issues, anger issues, and one of the things is, football and sports helped me. Was like a coping mechanism for mental health or whatever. It was an outlet for me to be able to get my aggression out as a a young man, and be able to get it out legally and effectively, and made me a good athlete and good player because of it, because I had so much built up.
Yeah, and that's why I said when you playing sports, you have all that built up frustration. That frustration a lot of times with a lot of athletes, that's what they needed to push them in the sport that they were in, because it's like they got that pain and they gotta release it some way. So everything that came their way that was a challenge, that fueled them to complete that task. There are a lot of successful people reaching their goals. That a lot of them have those stories like that. It wasn't that they had the mom and dad in the house and everything was the white picket fence and then joy. Most of the people that make it in the NFL and a lot of sports, especially coming from our culture, they have a lot of childhood growing pain trauma that they use to get them where they at.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And see, for me, like coaching a Pop Warner League for the Old Town Gators, it was different. Like, I see what you were saying, but down there it depended on how popular the child was in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
like, I was there all Tavon whole Pop Warner year until he went to Dunbar.
You talking about Tavon Austin?
Yeah, I seen him from flag all the way to, all right, this is my last year here. I'm gonna go to Dunbar, blah blah blah. His family stayed there the whole time, but it wasn't because of. I ain't gonna say they didn't support him, but it was the popularity. It was the popularity. Tavon was making a name for himself always for the Gators. When he was out there, we taking him out Silver Springs and he burning motherfuckers that's on Under Armour commercials up. That shit was like. Then the dope boys started coming. It got to the point where okay, that's the popularity. So now the parents got to come so that that kid don't get attached to outside world. You know what I'm saying? And it's other players, like I ain't gonna say his name, but it's another child that played down there. He on that verge of going to the league. But his whole background, his mother father was there, but his mother father was fucking with drugs. So that was their way of getting that shit off. Because it was near the projects.
Yeah, because sometimes them Pop Warner sidelines in the city like a minstrel show.
So it's like
you got junkies,
you got a lot of trauma going on.
It's
in
like
Baltimore,
you
man.
can see a lot. It's a
But
lot, bro.
But that's the main key, like you said, the trauma.
So, but the question is, even if because obviously Tavon, people like Tavon Austin was talented at a young age. And certain people are gifted and blessed with athletic ability. But what about those kids that don't have that same talent? We got to make sure that, we get a hold of them, and give them the same kind of wraparound treatment, as an athlete would get.
Yeah, because I mean, we tried to do it because a lot of the dudes that I was coaching around, they got really attached to the children because you grow a fondness for them, you love them, so you can kind of see when their attitude changes or something's going wrong. Like I personally looked at a kid and looked at him like, yo, something wrong, but he's not gonna say it. So what I'm gonna do? Gonna knock on the door. Like, what's up? His father home now. Like, his father just came home, and you know what I mean. Now your father been gone for 5-6 years trying to regulate shit, and the child is uncomfortable. Man, you need to have a conversation, and I've done that. You know what I mean? And the other coaches as well I've actually seen them in tears when they lose a child. Like, you know what I mean? Because in your heart, you're there. First of all, you're coaching for free because you love it. You know what I'm saying? You coach for free. Second of all,
sometimes out of your pocket.
Yeah. Trust me, I done had like my son football homeboys. I'm telling you, was eating me out of home. Right at the games on Saturday, like y'all going to Eric House. They all pile up, and next thing you know, I'm like, damn man, I can't even freak off in my own house because there's 9 little boys downstairs, and I can't do my thing. Whatever. I guess y'all ordering pizza, and it's just gonna be what it is. But we did that. We did that a lot. And them kids, I'm still close with. My son's still close with. But then it's those that you're really close with that you just can't save, and that's the shit that breaks you up because you do everything in your power to save them, and the forces that may be in their family just supersedes everything you've done. And the shit is heartbreaking. Like when we had to bury a player, and he was 17 years old. Because he was killed by another player that we coached. I was done. I was done. Like, yo, everybody got like, yo, we lost one. Not we lost one, we lost 2. Then a couple months later, another one that was talented. Looked like a young Tavon Austin. What'd he do? Shot the man out Thompson Mall in the garage. Like, why? And you found out that their parents, after they get out of youth football and get to high school, and they get a little older, parents kind of like back away. When at that age, when they still impressionable, you're supposed to still have your arm around their neck and keep it going until they're old enough. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times that shit just don't happen.
Right.
That's some real shit.
You know what I'm saying? And it's heartbreaking. You know what I mean? It's very much heartbreaking. You know what I mean? So
that's why we, hate to beat a dead horse, but everybody says it takes a village.
Absolutely.
It really does. As many people, you need as many people in the kids' lives as possible and positive.
But number wise, we've heard that a lot of times even when we was growing up. The kids today, it's a little worse for them because of, you see how Baltimore was when we were growing up. You had your stuff, but it was still some form of balance still there through the school system, through it was a ton of people trying to get you to go in the right direction. Even if your family wasn't on the right path, everybody had that same structure. So to still say the things that we say, it's kind of hard when the numbers are stacked against you now, because you have like you said, look at the family. Look at the family households with the single woman, 75%. You need more to help that 75% in large numbers. It can't be a small group of people trying to fix a big problem.
Right.
So
And that's yeah, man. I remember growing up, there was the same issues, but the only difference was, because they still had your drug dealers, and you still had everything that was going on in the communities, but there was a difference that there was community. And so, even for
People
instance,
talk.
even for instance, like, my mom, we were on welfare, we didn't have much, but I remember, shucks, she used to at times feed, my friends used to come over and we would have hot dogs with the white bread, and
Yep.
You didn't know, you didn't feel the struggle.
I'm like, man, I don't know how she feeding the whole block on this joint, on the welfare stamps and all, because we didn't have it all, but she would look out for you, because you had some families that might have had more than we did, but moms might have been on drugs, dad might have been an alcoholic, so they end up being worse off because they have other issues going on. We might be worse off financially, but my mom got the morals and and everything.
And she recognized the problem, and it's just like when your heart good, you just like you open your door up. You know what I mean? Because all of us in this room, we've done it. We help a lot of people and have helped a lot of people. When your heart in the right place, you just be like, I can see it. Let me help. Without letting them know I'm helping them. I'm gonna just let me open my door. Let me give you this. Let me do this and let me do that. I mean, we all done it.
And I think nowadays, a lot more people need help, but a lot less people are willing to help. Like you said, it's a lot of everybody's out for themselves. Everybody wants to do their own thing. There's a lack of community, lack of family, and lack of structure, and then everybody's kind of like just out there on a whim.
And for me, right, I really like the village part. I understand that, but for me, my theory now of it is, the village is there still trying to help. It's just that the motherfucker that you're trying to help don't want to believe that they have issues. You can't back in our day, if your mother was a junkie, your father was a junkie, you knew your mother and your father was a junkie. They knew that. They didn't try to hide that, that wasn't me copping the drugs down the street. No, it was me. But I need help. They were willing to get the help. And people willing to do it. Now, in today's world, the drug dealers are the junkies. The drug dealers are the ones also trying to stop the person in the neighborhood that's being different. You know what I'm saying? Back then, if you knew that this person was the athlete in the neighborhood, we made sure he was good. Now it's like, fuck that. You ain't getting no bread from that. Now, you don't have that. So the village is not being a village because everybody is not really willing to say, yo, I really need help. You'll have people today that be like, oh, I don't need no help. I could feed my family, and the whole time they all in the house eating off of one piece of bread.
Well, because of the pride factor. In my personal opinion, I just think that when I say Europeans, actually the system put us this way, because we remember how it used to be compared to now. It took, like you said, to take a village, and in that village, our culture used to had the verbal comes, and when they see that you're going too far, the physical discipline came in, because they was like, this person is not fearful. I was one of those kids that was pushing the limits.
I got
So,
my ass whipped by
yeah,
everybody.
but what I'm saying,
Aunts.
what I was saying is that all of us came from a generation of like the ones who pushed the limits. We got our ass beat. So even though we still went and did some things we like, oh no, because I don't want to get my fucking ass beat. Or grandma
You
might
worried
eat
about the
this up.
consequences.
You worried about the consequences. Once you had the group of individuals that started off with your opinions, and I'm not saying all, but I'm just speaking the truth of how we used to be as a people back then. You remember we had to shift from white people being the common enemy with our grandparents to all we had is us, families was together, to them implementing laws and going. Remember, white kids was the only ones that used to talk back and beat the shit out their parents when we was coming up. We would go, it couldn't happen because you had even back then, fathers was still around. It was like the disrespect wasn't there. Once they start putting the laws in, now as soon as a black person disciplined a child who was out stealing cars, robbed the stuff that we used to do, they put them in jail. But the one that was neglecting their kids never went to jail. Like, there never was no rehabilitation for them. It was like, let them keep fucking up the families. And the ones that's trying to keep their kids on the right path were getting locked up, which created a fear with the generation coming up that I don't want to get involved with this. Well, let my child get away with this. And then now
It took the village away.
Yeah, so now those people are now adults. They our age and under us, and they are the parents now. That's why they're the ones that's high, the ones that really didn't have that discipline how we had. We was that Generation X. They do test on us all the time. We was the Generation X. It's going to stop here, and they started breaking down. It's a lot of deep-rooted stuff to why we in a position now as a people as we are. And the only way we're going to correct the problem is that the ones that's here now that totally understand it need to start coming together and the ones that actually get in leadership positions, politicians and things like that, need to all collectively get together and say, we got to fix our people overall in order for the problem to get better later. That's just my opinion.
Facts.
I think that, it takes me back to the fathers being out of the households, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were just talking about the lack of fathers being in the household, and we talk about that discipline, and female. It's so huge because seeing the daughters need to see how the man treats the woman in a positive way, and to understand that this is how it's supposed to be. This is it shouldn't be that the woman wants to be independent and and F a man. I don't need no man. Like why wouldn't you want to have a man that's there for you to provide and all of that? Why wouldn't a man want a woman that's there to have his back and help out? You know what I mean? And so it's just
it's because we're coming because they want us extinct.
And that's a part of the system.
Toxic masculinity
right.
is what they call any man that tries to stand up and protect and stand with morals and values.
And that's a part of that system that which possibly could be part of the plan to take fathers out of the households and keep our communities in the in the system that it is today. Because you don't have that whole sense of family. They don't have that community. You got women that's doing it by themselves. They getting that government assistance, the government help. The government saying, "Hey, we'll help you out. You don't need the man or whatever that." And so that's huge, man.
Until you ask them for something, then they say, "Oh, put his ass on child support."
That's
when you need his ass.
You know how you can tell it's something. You know how you can tell it's something when a man is speaking positive and you got a man that's on the right path. You can just look at social media. Any man that has balance and not out here talking about, "Oh, I'm sleeping with this woman," and they see a man with their kids and taking care of their responsibilities, women are attracted to that. To the utmost. They look and go, wow, this guy is being a father, something that's supposed to be the norm, and then speak and then uplifting women and not. That's what they gravitate to.
That's the truth.
That's the thing. They get the most views, the most everything when it comes to us. It's just a positivity because in their brain it's like we don't exist.
Not to be funny.
Somehow the reason why we don't exist.
You know where they really see that shit? When you coach youth football. They really see that shit. They're like, shit, he taking care of all these kids out here. That shit is like, you like the cream of the crap out there. You know what I mean?
They become stepfather.
Yeah, it's happened. But before we get up out of here, let people know what's your goal football is over. You got the foundation. What's your the goals for your organization as well as personal for yourself before we get up out of here?
You know, goals for my foundation is continue to do what we're doing, if not do more. Obviously, we continuing to look for companies and organizations to pour into us financially in order for us to give to the kids for free. So, you know, we're going to continue to give our youth resources and everything for free. Me personally, you know, I'm looking to try to be as healthy as I can be. And, you know, and try to continue to give back as much as I can, you know, and be able to be the best man that I can. You know, so make sure that I take care of myself and my family first, and then, you know, be so that I can give back to the community that I love. Yeah.
Can you plug it one more time?
You got your
Yeah.
website.
So the website www.thejoelgamblefoundation.org. You can find us on IG, the Joel Gamble Foundation. And also on Facebook as well.
Absolutely. And check this out, everybody listening. We're going to actually post a link to his website on the UnifiedRadio.tv website. You'll see it on all social media, so y'all know where to donate, how you can get involved, and how you get in contact with Joel, man. And it's been another edition of Imperfect Sense. Go ahead.
One more thing to say. So we have youth shoulder pads available.
Okay.
And this is free. But the only thing that we ask for any youth football teams out there, if you're interested in receiving free shoulder pads, and that we will give you up to 10 sets of free shoulder pads if you would bring your team to actually participate in giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving, or actually before Thanksgiving Day, giving out turkeys to with another organization. So we're trying to give. We're trying to support other organizations as well, and then be able to give to youth as well. So we have about 30 some sets of shoulder pads that
I'm
we
definitely
want to
passing that
donate.
information on.
Yeah, so that's an
passing that on.
opportunity for youth teams to get free gear.
I'm definitely Coach Twan, Eastside Raiders. I'm gonna give you a call as soon as this show is over with. And it's been in perfect sense. I'm Eric, this Conway, this Flesh. You know what I mean? We see y'all the same time, same unified channel next week. And we appreciate Joe Campbell for joining us, man. We appreciate it, man. We'll see y'all next week. Peace. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you. Good interview.
Yeah.
Good.